today we are talking about beds. And now actually the weather's kind of flummoxed me because I was going to start this morning with, it's the middle of January and it's dark and it's cold and it's raining and where else do we want to be other than our beds? Outside looking at the view. But I have to say bed is a pretty special place, isn't it? Especially if you have a nice bed like this gentleman has. This looks like the kind of place that I wouldn't mind being. Nice, tidy room, quite airy, and the best thing, or maybe the worst thing, he's got a toilet by his bed. And you know what? This toilet is complete with a lock. A heart-shaped lock. What are they going to steal? I don't know. What are they going to steal? So I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing to have a lock right next to your bed. A toilet or a commode right next to your bed. And I don't know whether this is actually a great advert for being in bed either. This comes from a 14th century text called, well, the text is a bit older, but this image is from the 14th century. I think the text is from the 11th century, so it's very old, and it's called La Vie Humaine. So in translation, the progress of the soul, or the pilgrimage of the pilgrimage of man. And then there's another one called The Pilgrimage of the Soul. And in this story, the protagonist, who we see here in bed, actually dallies with the 7 deadly sins and becomes very idle at one point, which of course introduces the idea of sloth, and it, as you can imagine, doesn't end well. And then at the end of this tale, it's sort of classified as a poem, he dies. So having said that, yeah, I'd love to be in this bed, obviously not with him, maybe not. It's not a great end to the story, but he's got a toilet by his bed, which could be good. So has this lady here, and this, first glance, so toilets by the bed were a thing. You see it there. It kind of looks like a throne, this lovely red thing on the other side of the bed. Beautiful, beautiful image. This is 15th century. A fantastic. If you're into medieval interiors and want to study medieval interiors, then this is an image to look at. It's by Carpaccio, Italian artist Carpaccio. Terms of a bedroom, pretty nice. This could be a bed that I could spend time in. Nice airy room, clean, comfy looking bed. Tick, tick, tick. Angel coming into the room. Tick or not, because actually an angel coming into the room can be a source of danger in many respects. Danger, I say. So this is in fact St. Ursula. Was due to poor connection. I hope I'm back again. And this is St. Ursula. You know what I forgot to do? I normally put my phone on 5G instead of Wi-Fi anyway. St. Ursula, who is having a dream. So this is called the dream of St. Ursula. And the dream is, so the angel comes to her in her dream. St. Ursula is a Christian martyr, became a Christian martyr. And like all martyrs, like all female martyrs, or most of them, she is a princess. She's betrothed to a prince who's heathen. She doesn't want to marry him. And this angel comes to her in her dream and says, Ursula, you need to delay the wedding by 3 years, and during those 3 years you need to go on a pilgrimage to Rome, but you can't go alone. You need to go with 11,000 virgins. So she's like, right, okay. So luckily she's got a really wide circle of friends, most of whom aren't married. So good for her. So she and the 11,000 virgins go off to Rome. Fantastic. And on their way back, and this has been cleared, by the way. So this has been granted, this wish for whatever reason. So they go to Rome. On the way back, they meet the Huns, who think it's Christmas and all of their birthdays and Easter and everything all at once, only they didn't because they probably weren't Christian, or they weren't Christian. And head of the Huns spots Ursula, of course he does, amongst 11,000 other people, and he says to St. Ursula, Schatzi, ich will mit sie verheiratet. Any German speakers here, forgive me. And she says, no, I'm not going to marry you. I'm sorry, I'm not going to marry you. And he says, ja, aber Sie müssen mit mir verheiraten. And she says, no, I'm not going to. So he says, ja, wir will tun, that's French. Killen. What's German for kill? He says, we will kill you all if you don't marry me. And she's like, sorry, mate, I'm not marrying you. And so all of the 11,000 virgins are killed by the Huns on their way back from their pilgrimage to Rome, apart from one who survives long enough to write everything down, and then she's killed as well. So that's what you get when you see, sometimes, when you see an angel in your dream. And that's the very brief story of St. Ursula. So beds can be very dangerous places. They can also accommodate very dangerous looking people. Does she look dangerous? Of course she doesn't look dangerous. This is Victorine Murron, who was Manet's model. The call him an impressionist artist. He was kind of pre-impressionist, influenced the impressionists. So she posed for him quite often, Victorine Murron, but was an artist in her own right. Unfortunately, there's only, to my knowledge, only one of her works that has been, well, A, properly attributed, and B, is kind of in the public domain. But this was an absolute scandal. So it's sort of the bed that is scandalous, because this is part of the whole proposition of the painting. This is called Olympia, and it was exhibited in 1865 at the Paris Salon in 1865, where it absolutely created outrage. So outraged were people that this painting had to have 2 private guards to stop people from destroying it, vandalizing it. And the reason was she's lying on a bed, but it's really all about the way that she's looking out at us. It's about the gaze. So she is implicating us, really. She's looking out, she's meeting our stare. That's not a very good word to use, but you know what I mean. So, who are we then? So that kind of, we're sort of implicated because we appear to be in the room with her. If that's the way that you look at the painting. And that kind of freaked out a lot of people that went to the salon, because many of them would be gentlemen who perhaps visited the kind of lady that she was, but they would have visited with their wives, and it just made for very uncomfortable viewing, and the kind of woman that she was is made very obvious in the way that the black maid, a well discussed figure in art history, is bringing her flowers. There's also a cat at the end of the bed, which actually by mistake I've chopped off, but there's a black cat at the end of the bed. Black cats, symbolic of, well, Satan for a start, but also the slang term for the part of her anatomy that she's very casually covering up, both in French and in English. So, it's fairly implicit what Olympia, or the profession that Olympia follows, and this was not something that people that went to the Paris Salon in 1865 really wanted to be confronted with. So in this case, sleeping isn't dangerous. It's the not sleeping that is perhaps even more dangerous in this instance. Um, I am going to say, maybe controversially, but I am going to say it's unusual for me to do such a modern piece of art, although this is now 20 or so years old, more than 20 years old. I'm going to say that Tracey Emin's My Bed, it was first exhibited in 1999, is almost a 20th century equivalent of Manet's Olympia in terms of the outrage that it caused, in terms of the emotions that it brought up, in terms of the emotions that might be a bit dramatic, but in terms of the vitriol certainly that it incited in the press. So this was entered for the Turner Prize in 1999. It didn't win, but it was entered. It was yes, one of the, I don't know what I'm trying to say. It was entered to the Turner Prize, and one of the tabloids ran a headline that it was what was it? Stomach turning or stomach turner. That's right, stomach turner. Obviously, a pun on the Turner Prize, but also a reference to some of the items that are in and around the bed, which include blood-soiled underwear and used condoms and unused condoms, and you can see a vodka bottle there and water bottles and the cigarette butts and and tissues and the sort of the general detritus of actually a breakdown. So the story of this is that in 1998 Tracey Emin was having a particularly hard time, and she was in bed for 4 days, essentially by her own admission having a breakdown. And at one point she gets up and leaves the room, and when she comes back to the room she sort of, I don't know, kind of, I suppose, looks at, she has some kind of objectivity about what she's seeing, and she comes back and she sees this and she thinks, oh my God, that's kind of an installation really of a fashion, and so she thinks, I need to give this to an art gallery, or I need to give this to an art gallery. She thinks I need to make this into a work of art. I don't need to change it in any way, but I am now perceiving this as a work of art because it is both a sort of a microcosm of my life, certainly in the last few days, and it's very much speaking to the chaos and the despair of my life in this period, but also because the bed is a place of everything. The bed is a place for sleeping and sex, but also most of us are born in a bed. Many of us, if we're lucky, die in a bed. So that's kind of where she was coming from for that. She exhibited it. So after it was originally exhibited, some years later, she exhibited it again in the Tate Britain, and she chose to exhibit it in a room with Francis Bacon paintings and some sketches that she did of her own. And so this is for you, Adrian. So she said that so paintings like this were around the bed, and she felt that they really complemented the installation, because Francis Bacon was a complete lunatic and absolutely reflected the chaos of her bed, which is called My Bed, but also because the sort of the undulation of the flesh, the fact that Francis Bacon paintings are never static. They always feel like they're in motion, I think, and that's what she felt. So this is pretty grim. I remember studying Francis Bacon. I wrote an essay, and I remember it was all about the diastole and the systole. Diastole, like the sort of contracting and then expand. Oh God, I can't remember. Anyway, I do have one last bed, but I can't find it in my images. Where is it? Here it is. Here it is. We're going to finish on this one. So I kind of went off piece there, Tracey Emin. Back to my more common theme of medieval art and medieval beds. Now, this is a bed that I would really, really like to spend some time in because it's really big and it's got lots of pillows. It's got a nice shelf behind it. I don't know whether there's a toilet, it's not depicted, but it seems to come with a couple of lovely ladies who are there to bring you things in bed. I mean, what's not to love? Quite frankly, what's not to love? And the title of this is ceviche or barley soup. Ceviche, Sevich. And when I first read this, I just read, oh, ceviche or barley soup. You know, kind of like it was a menu. Like if this was my entree, and they would bring me the entree that or the starter that I had ordered. I think ceviche is barley soup, and I don't even know if I'm saying it right. Barley soup was something that was prescribed if you needed more bile. So this lady might be a bit too dry, maybe. And so this is an image from, again, 14th century, late 14th century, from like the Taciturnus Sanitus. I've said that completely wrong. It's some kind of health manual anyway. And so, yes, so she was prescribed barley soup. They really went with humours. And in fact, so there were 4 different types of people. You know, you could be wet or dry or hot or cold or a combination, whatever. And depending on what you were, depended on how much sleep you were allowed. So somewhere between 7 and 9 hours, apparently, in medieval times. But also there was a little fashion that you had to wake up in the middle of the night for a little while. That was apparently really good for you. That was the time when it was best to conceive a baby, apparently. But if you were going to sleep in the day, then you had to sleep standing up. You had to go to bed in the day. There's a little thing. They said, oh, you know, so if you need to sleep in the day, then lean against a cupboard or a wall or a door, just to make sure that no one's going to open the door. Didn't say that, but clever thinking. And sleep standing up. I'm going to leave you with one last thing. You know where sleep tight comes from? I'm sure you probably do, but it's because beds, if you were lucky enough to have a bed in medieval times, were made with, or the frame of the bed was made by rope knotted together, and of course those ropes had to be tightened, had to keep being tightened to keep the bed comfortable. So sleep tight is a reference to the ropes. There you go, from Tracey Emin and vodka and used condoms to barley soup to St. Ursula and her virgins to Manet's Olympia. Don't tell me I don't give you variety. Turn those off, turn comments back on. Hello Ishwari, how lovely to see you here, and Steph. And one other, and I don't know who it is, a Patatronic, hello. So, yeah, it's really annoying because I can't always see who has who've joined me. Gotta love a bit of bacon, yes, you see, Adrian, there you go. I do actually really like Francis Bacon's paintings. I do. They are quite disturbing, but there's something very obviously visceral and real, and yeah, I kind of like them. Anyway, bed hopping. No one's doing any bed hopping at the moment, are they? Or at least if they are, they bloody well shouldn't be. So you're very welcome, Patatronic. I hope no one's, well, I don't know whether I hope anyone speaks German. If they do, I don't know. Verheiratet. I got up to GCSE German. I was quite good at GCSE, but I haven't spoken it really that much since. So anyway, on that note, enjoy this beautiful sunshine. Apparently it's going away. And I will see you next Thursday. I have also got, so it's not for a few weeks yet, but if you're interested, my Valentine's Day tour is on sale now on my website, which is beyondthepalette.co.uk. I've sold out for the Saturday night, but I'm doing another one on the Friday night, so that's Friday the 12th of February at 7 o'clock. So that'd be really fun. So that's available on the website, and otherwise I will see you next week, and have a really great week, everybody, and a great day. Bye bye everyone. Bye. Thanks for joining.